Hi folks, Roddy and myself Matthew here to tell you about the latest Living Souls that are launched today, Friday. We're starting off with this Living Souls 41-year-old blended Scotch whisky. So this is a kind of continuation of their progression of their 40-year-old blend. It's now suddenly become 41, bottled at 42%, and it's just great, easy drinking, mature whiskey, and very, very sensibly priced.
The kind of whiskey that you could give to people who are not really whiskey drinkers because it's so soft and approachable. But proper old whiskey. Proper old whiskey.
Retails at 130 quid, which is utter nonsense price-wise
for a 41-year-old.
Something that age, absolutely. Dram number 2 here is Tullibardine 11-year-old, matured in French red wine casks.
Tullibardine, something we don't stock that much of.
No.
The distillery's reputation is not the highest, so we don't get asked for it that often, but we really, really like this one. I think Tully, it's there's no smoke in the whiskey, it's a malty, sweet style of whiskey, and in this case it sits really nicely with the red wine barrels. There's I found a nice little bit of tannin in the finish, so there's a nice bit of grip to it.
Yeah, it's a distillery that does take a finish really well. It's a good vehicle for the cask that it sits in, I think.
A good example of Tullibardine that we were very happy to list.
And sits on the shelf at $58.50.
So next up we've got Craigellachie 12-year-old from first fill sherry hogsheads, 46%. And this, just classic Craigellachie, so pineapples. It's exactly what you're looking for from Craigellachie. And then I'm fairly sure, I don't know, but the sherry barrels, but I'm fairly sure it's American oak because I got lots and lots of creaminess on this one.
Yeah, it's a lovely sweet dram. And that's typically American oak you get that from.
But whatever kind of sherry casks they are, it's pineapples and cream. What more could you ask for?
And another great price at $64.50. So, they just keep. I think that's the consistent theme from Living Souls, that everything they do is bottled for drinking.
Yeah, they think a lot about price, so they'll play around with the strength to find a wallet-friendly price point sometimes, which I think that's a good way to do things. It's a good approach.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can get too stuck in saying we are only going to bottle at cask strength, we're only going to do this and only going to do that, which is fine. But when the market is variable, then folk just want something to drink.
Yeah. Did you say the price on this one, Matt?
$64.50. Yes. I think I did.
Yeah, you did. You're right. Yeah, he's a professional sausage. So then, next up, we've got a 7-year-old from Bowmore Distillery, second fill bourbon barrels, bottled at 55%, and this is just it's so estery. It's just bananas.
And a bit of smoke.
And a bit of smoke, but the overwhelming thing for me was that real fruitiness. I was writing my tasting notes as usual, and I'd written down awfully good, and then our colleague Peter chimed in to say, "Don't you mean banoffee good?" Which actually sums it up quite well, I think.
And again, how often do you see Bowmore from indie bottler? Very rarely, and suddenly we're seeing it.
We're seeing loads.
And this 7-year-old, 60 quid. 60 quid. That's unbelievable.
Which seems like a lot for a 7-year-old, but when you taste the whiskey, it is this one is definitely worth it.
I think for Bowmore, the fact you just don't see it.
Yeah.
And at that price, I think it's a steal.
Yeah, and it's delicious. Yeah. So another Bowmore.
They're like buses here.
So this is a 22-year-old Bowmore from first fill bourbon barrels, bottled at 52%. And this one, it does that. So Bowmore, legendarily, when it gets into its third decade and beyond, you start to see this floral note, which can be a bit divisive. Some people don't like it, but if you love it, if you like it, then Bowmore does it better than I think, any other distillery in Scotland. And for me, that's got this.
Yeah, it's a great bottling, and just that bit more age. The smoke is super soft. You know, it's just a really, 52%. It feels like it's just singing. You know, it's just soft and elegant. Such a lovely, lovely whiskey. And again, Bowmore at a sensible price for something this age sits on the shelf at 175 quid, which I think is a bargain.
Yeah, it's a special dram. I mean, at that price, it's a special occasion dram, but it's a very special dram for such an occasion. So yeah, we're very pleased to have this. And then wrapping things up with a fairly old school Laphroaig, 11-year-old, bottled at 50%. This one's from refill bourbon barrels, and this is just my tasting notes for this are just basically, if you know Laphroaig, then it ticks all the boxes. So it's like cigar ash, it's medicinal, it's seasidey, it's coastal. Is it chewy? I don't know. At 50%, it's not quite chewy, but it's got a lovely texture to it without being chewy.
Very much so. And being refill bourbon, it's really distillate led, so you're really getting that DNA of the distillery just singing from the glass. If you like Laphroaig, this is a great bottling. Yeah,
and I imagine that this with a cigar would be an interesting combo.
Well, we just need to try it.
Yeah, we do, don't we? Yeah.
And this retails at 68. Pre-COVID, we were seeing Williamson, so unnamed, undisclosed Laphroaigs, around this age at over £100. So seeing it now at 68 is incredible. This is just brilliant for
for drinkers.
For drinkers, this is amazing. This
is what the sort of price you want to pay and which you ought to pay for whiskies like this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's our pick of the Living Souls new Outturn, launched today.
Friday
the 29th. May.
Not June. May.
This is why he's the professional sausage.
Folks, I think that's enough. Right, anyway, come and see us. We've got loads, and there's tons more stuff arriving all the time at the moment. So this is a great time to shop.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Cheers, folks.
Cheers, folks. This is how the sausage is made.
I don't like that metaphor.